que estaban sumándose todavía. Welcome to all participants that are joining. I will immediately give the floor. Voy a dar la palabra inmediatamente a Brian Brown. Pueden elegir en el menú inferior el idioma, español, portugués o inglés. You may choose in the menu your language, English, Spanish or Portuguese. So we will immediately start. Voy a dar la palabra a Brian Brown, quien va a moderar el coloquio hoy. Es el presidente de International Organization for the Family, que tiene su sede en Washington, en Estados Unidos. So Brian, please.
Thank you so much, Lola. Welcome everyone to this webinar of the Transatlantic Dialogues. First of all, I want to thank Lola Velarde for all that she's done in the Political Network for Values, for all of the work they're doing at a time where it's hard to come together.
Your camera is off.
Okay. It's showing my camera as on. Again, thank you, Lola, and thank the Political Network for Values for all the work they're doing. I think that this ability to get together by Zoom conferences is critical at a time where it's difficult to get together physically. And I think that the topic, Christian democratic values in the European Union, the future of Christian democratic values in the European Union, is so timely. So again, thank you for everyone for joining. We have a great group of senators, members of parliament, government officials representing 15 different countries from all over the world that are joining. This is going to be a public event, meaning that this is going to be published online. And so I just want to make everyone aware of that. I also want to let everyone know that this is a part of the official discussion that has just been launched within the European Union called the Conference on the Future of Europe. This webinar was registered to be a part of that. That was just launched today or yesterday, Lola?
Today, yeah, so it's brand new.
So we have a two great leaders, I think, perfectly representing the future, in my view, of democratic values in the European Union. I've gotten to know both of these leaders through the World Congress of Families. I'll start by introducing Lorenzo Fontana. Lorenzo Fontana is the former Minister of Families for Italy. He has been the former Italian Minister of European Affairs and Deputy Federal Secretary of the Lega Party. He was key to getting the World Congress of Families in 2019 to have the World Congress of Families in Verona, Italy, which was quite an event, and has truly been a leader for the family. We also will have KATALIN NOVÁK joining, who is the Hungarian Minister for Families and also the Vice President of the Fidesz Party and President of the Political Network for Values. KATALIN NOVÁK received our highest award for the family back in the Tbilisi World Congress of Families, and also really led the way to the World Congress of Families that occurred in Budapest with the support of Prime Minister Viktor Orban. So Lola, without further ado, I think we'll move to the speakers. Lola, should we begin with Minister Fontana?
Fine, yes, absolutely.
Mr. Fontana, please.
Okay, thank you to everybody. Thank you to Mr. Brian Brown for the beautiful word who said to me. And thank you to the organizer and to everybody, and in particular to Mrs. The Minister, KATALIN NOVÁK. And well, I have some PowerPoint to show to you, and Now I try just a moment for patience, and I put on. Just a moment. I hope that now you can see the PowerPoint, and I start.
Yes,
We are, yes, okay, good. We are facing a situation at this particular moment in history where a globalist agenda is advancing, and the cultural basis on Christian values that was predominant in the past and which founded the European Union is increasing backing up. Now we see how these Christian values are receding more and more, leaving room for a new ideology, for a new form of possible totalitarianism, the totalitarianism of globalism, that want to sell us a new man in a new world. If you think about this, these are the slogans that branded the great totalitarianism of 20th century, and not only those, but also the totalitarian degeneration that we have seen since the French Revolution. Significantly, at this time, one natural institution under particular attack is the family, and there is a profound reason for this. The family has always been considered the fundamental matrix of society. The problem arrives when a totalitarianism wants to try to assert itself, and it will find in the family an insuperable barrier. For example, the family is an educational institution, and it is clear that totalitarian states often want to educate or even indoctrinate children and young people according to their vision and their ideology. The family is also a vector of transmission of traditions and intergenerational bonding structure. The relationship of a people and a family with its past is important because knowing your past can also provide a more complete and less indoctrinating view of the future. The family is also an important welfare state provider. Families tend to try to help each other and do what the state something cannot do. This means that the family in totalitarian states that wants to impose a dominant single line of thinking must be, I won't say eliminate because that is the last stage, but it must be weakness as such as possible. There is an inclination on the part of the globalist agenda to create the best condition to make it easier for people to be indoctrinated. And so it is if they no longer have social connection, starting with family ties. So we are facing a major clash that, perhaps at a cultural level, has not been seen for a long time, between this globalist idea, which is fundamentally supported by Gnostic nihilism, an idea that wants to lead men to be a single, lonely, ruthless individual who can be easily indoctrinated. In contrast with the agenda that does not yet exist, but which we must absolutely try to push strongly, which is the identitarian and conservative agenda, which, as an alternative, wants and believes in communities, in families, in tradition, in the peculiarities of different peoples, believes in defending border, for example, believes that certain values are fundamental for living together. So it is clear that the clash at the moment is between two models of society, two completely different models of men and women. One based on a new ideology that has its origin in the totalitarianism ideologies of the past, the other based on tradition, on Christian values, on the cultural pillars of the past that always want to guarantee freedom, well-being, and real prospect for all peoples, particularly in Europe. It is clear therefore, that what are facing, even at the level of the European Union, is this clash between these two souls, where unfortunately, it must be said that the Christian component is in extremely difficult. In this period, we see that some political parties and politicians who have always declared themselves Christian Democrats have often had a slow but inexorable slide toward the left, toward the so-called mainstream area, to the point that they have sometimes become the support to advance certain issues typical of the globalist agenda. This should make us reflect, but because it is clear that if we continue in this direction, the cultural battle will be won by globalists. Why has the nihilist globalist progressive socialist culture gained so much weight? This is the result of a scientific and organized work over the years carried by Socialist Party to try to take over all those institutions that could have crucial power at nation and supranational level. That is why it is so important that at this historical moment, there is a real commitment to propose a valid alternative. It cannot be that at the level of European Union, there is a nihilistic, globalistic, progressive socialist culture, and there is not cultures to refer to Christian values and tradition. Why does this happen? Why has this ideology gained such a position? As I said, there has been a scientific work done over the years. Socialist parties have scaled up all influence and institutions at national and supranational level. The strategy was well explained by Gramsci's philosophical idea. If you couldn't win election, you could win public opinion. Think about the great work that the left has done on schools. In Italy, the vast majority of teachers tend to be left-wing, not to mention the jurisdictional power, which is the one that condemns you, not to mention the media and the world of artists who serve to indoctrinate the younger generation, and not only them, through their films and works. There is this continuous attempt to follow this progressive agenda, which is unfortunately supported by many politically correct artists who serve to influence public opinion, and which is also supported by many politicians who may even be elected from the ranks of so-called center-right, but who give in facing these battles. This happened because, as one of the great thinkers of the last century, Plinio Correa de Oliveira, said, there is an unperceived ideological transshipment. And over the years, through this progressive miseducation, people gradually become familiar to think and ideas that perhaps 20, 30, or 40 years ago were absolutely unthinkable. For example, this is evident with the euthanasia. Things that might have seemed absolutely unthinkable up to 40 years ago are now, thanks to an important ideological work carried out, especially through the mass media, absolutely common ideas. Not so much because it is right or because it is wrong, but because there has been an indoctrination in the mass media, and something even in the most innocuous sitcom that everyone watches, that the ones that make you smile, but which perhaps send you messages that are globalist and always associated with the progressive agenda. Concepts that were completely unthinkable are defining the lines of our culture, the future of our people. That's why the battles does not belong only to one country, but are all involved. Certainly, the whole area that can be defined as Western world, the area that shares Christian values and culture. So, The mission is to create a network of people of goodwill who want to fight this battle against this new form of totalitarianism. In addition to networking, we must also try to promote growth and education to ensure that people, teachers, and intellectuals who think in the same way can support each other and divulgate the ideas that are typical of conservatives and identitarians. Then we can start thinking about a whole new series of publications and media that support these important ideas for the future. What I see in the future is that the place of conflict will move. The real conflict will now be inside communities, between those who still carry forward Christian values, believing them to be fundamental key of living in society, and those who want to carry forward the globalist agenda to create a world in which people will be lonely, individual, scared, indoctrinated, and who will respond to the logic of political correctness. I do wish the future imagined by globalism on anyone, especially not on our children. That's why I'm certain that there are actually many people ready to try to collaborate and commit themselves to create an alternative. Our task is to give voice to the alternative, bearing in mind that the globalists want to silence us forever, or even worse, to force our cultural side to adapt to the globalist agenda. This is exactly the mistake that several Christian Democrat politicians have made by selling out their ideas to the enemy. An enemy that is unfortunately very powerful, doesn't like dissent, and is becoming dangerous. This is the task that we all have, to engage in a cultural battle to ensure that the future of our children is not only bleak and globalist, but that there is a trusting, beautiful, and identity-based alternative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fontana. Thank you for your leadership. We will wait to have questions at the end. We'll have short interventions and ability for people to communicate and speak. I will now invite Mrs. KATALIN NOVÁK. I forgot one important part of her bio, and I will get in trouble for not mentioning it, and that is that she is a wife and mother of 3 children, in addition to all of her leadership on other family issues. So I invite Minister KATALIN NOVÁK.
Thank you so much, Brian. And I'm very happy to see you all. And thank you for those who are in a different time zone. And maybe for you, it's early morning. In Budapest, it's late afternoon already. And as you see, I'm trying also to do home office. I'm in our daughter's room because I don't have an office at home. But I just asked her to leave the floor here in her room. So that's where I'm trying to intervene from. But that's how work-life balance works or doesn't work sometimes. So coming to our topic, thank you so much for organizing this meeting. Thank you, Lola. Thank you all. And I'm very privileged to be the president of the Political Network for Values and try to live up to the expectations and also the heritage of my predecessor, let's say. The topic for today was the future of Christian democratic values in the European Union. But if I want to speak about this subject, and thank you, Lorenzo, for sharing your important thoughts with us, and I will join you in some details or in some points. But if we want to speak about the future of Christian democratic values in the European Union, first I think we should think about the past, because our Christian democratic future in Europe is based on our Christian democratic past and our Judeo-Christian roots. We are coming from different countries. We are coming from 15 different countries and from different parts of the globe, from different continents. And what does make our continent, the European Union, itself so valuable, among other things? One is our Judeo-Christian roots and our Christian heritage, our Christian culture. And we should keep that in mind, and we shouldn't forget this, and we shouldn't give this up. That's what makes, among others, our continent, our union so valuable, that we are united in the sense that we share more or less the same Judeo-Christian roots and this Christian culture. All of our European countries are Christian. In Hungarian, there was a saying that even those who don't believe in God are still in Hungarian Christians, because it's not about your personal faith in the first place or only, but it's about the culture. It's about our heritage. It's about our habits. It's our way of living. It's our mentality. So we are living in a Christian environment with Christian traditions, and that's what also makes us so unique. That Europe, on one hand, is so different. I mean, one nation is so much different from the other. Spanish, Italian, Hungarian, or Polish, Norwegian, or French, or German people are really, really different from each other. We have very different national heritage and history and cultural habits, but we all share the same Judeo-Christian roots and the same Christian culture. And if we go back to the 1950s and to the ninth in 1950 and Robert Schuman and the Schuman Declaration, or we look back what Schuman said and how he envisaged the European cooperation, then it was based on this Christian culture. And he was not the only founding father of the European Union who dreamed about a Europe based on Christianity. And we are tending to forget, as European Union or the European states, that we have to preserve this Christianity, this Christian culture, other than to give it up and to somehow just dissolve in this globalized world, which doesn't share any more values, but it's just it just means being neutral. And that would also be one of my points to make, that neutrality, when we speak about values, then neutrality is nothing positive, because if you are not representing anything anymore, if you are not trying to be Christian Democrat, or if you are not trying to be, if you are not representing real left liberal values, for example, then what is the difference between different political parties, between different between people thinking in different ways? I think this difference, this diversity is so much valuable, and is something that we have to preserve for the future. So Christianity, Christian democracy is not only about our personal faith, it's also about our way of life. It is also about being part of a community, belonging to a community, and it's about our shared values. I would like to name some of the Christian democratic values. What does Christian culture, what does Christian democracy mean at all? For example, Lorenzo also mentioned the importance of family, and I would like to underline the importance of family, the importance of marriage, the importance of family as the basic of society, family as the smallest but most important unit of the society on which our communities are based upon. And there I should underline that we are trying to preserve the value of traditional families, meaning that family is based upon the marriage of a man and a woman, and the relationship between children and parents. So that is the basic of this. That is the basis of family. Then number two, we very much acknowledge and respect work. Work has a value. Work also, when we speak about paid work and volunteer work. So work is also the basis of our existence. Everybody has to contribute in order to be able to grow in an economic way as well. And also it gives dignity if we provide the opportunity for everybody to work. State, number three, state has certain guarantees. So state guarantees public security, state guarantees order, and the practice of certain rights. So it is an orderly way of functioning, guaranteed also by the state. The state is ready to take its responsibility. And then number four, we preserve our different identities, our local identities, our national identities. You know, when we speak about subsidiarity is now such an expression that we use on a daily basis when we speak about decision making, that we have to keep in mind subsidiarity, the principle of subsidiarity. But subsidiarity is in itself a very valuable principle. Subsidiarity means that each and every decision should be taken at the lowest level possible. So it means that the closest to the people. We should not give up our intention to take decisions together with the people. That is what subsidiarity is about. Then number five, men and women enjoy equal rights. No question when we speak about Christian democratic values that men and women are equal, even if they are not identical. And we shouldn't mix these two notions, being identical and being equal. Men and women are equal. They should have equal rights. They should have equal access to the same possibilities, but we don't treat them as identical. Men and women are, for God's sake, different. And we should respect this difference. But in the meantime, give equal opportunities, give equal rights. Then number six, national culture, identity, traditions, local languages are protected and promoted. So we are not speaking about some multicultural, globalized world or European Union, the state of Europe, the United States of Europe, but we are speaking about equal member states, equal national cultures, identities, traditions, preserving and protecting local languages and local communities. So it's not multiculturalism, but it's the diversity of different cultures. Then the importance of human dignity. What does it mean? That we shouldn't put the individual's rights on the first place all the time and say that you only have to try to take the most out of it as an individual, and always keeping in mind your individual interests and not caring about anything else but your individual status and your individual rights, your individual possibilities. But you have to be respected and respect the others as well, and respect the other one's the other one's freedom. So that's what we call the Christian freedom, that your freedom's limits are where you are hurting the other one's freedom already, or the other one's dignity already. So we should respect each other's human dignity, and we await the others to respect ours as well. But it's not only about being an individual and always looking for fulfilling our individual aims and interests, but also about having community interest and community rights as well, and respect the community as such. If I would like to put it very simple, how I see the future, because that is the principle, that is the theory, and what is the practice, and how I see our future, the Christian democratic future in Europe. Where I see the problem is that even the so-called Christian democratic, the so-called conservative political powers in the last years have given up on being real Christian Democrats or being real conservatives. And the reason for that is that there is such a big pressure. There is such a big pressure from the left liberal dominated media, and also for those influencers who are representing the left liberal values, that these Christian democratic conservative values are just somehow degraded, and many don't feel enforced to step up for these values anymore. They don't really have the room, they don't really have the opportunity to speak, they don't feel the public support sometimes, because there is no real platform for speaking up for these Christian democratic conservative values. And you know, there was a survey which I found very interesting. It was a survey in Canada, and it was before the last before elections in Canada. And there was this survey where they asked voters also from the liberal and also from the conservative political side. And the question was that, what would you do if your best friend turned out to support the opposition, your opposition, or the opponent political power? So you, as a conservative, what would you say if it turned out that your best friend was liberal, and the other way around? And surprisingly or not surprisingly, the vast majority of the so-called liberals said that he or she would stop any relationship with that person, so they wouldn't be friends anymore. And what did the conservatives say? The vast majority of the conservatives said that, well, what would I do? He or she is my best friend. Of course, we would remain best friends. It wouldn't change anything. And it shows the different mindset that nowadays, who call themselves liberals, cannot accept any other view than their own. So if you don't say what they think, then you are not comme il faut anymore. If you don't think like they think, then you are not only an outsider, but you are radical, you are extremist, you are just out of the game, because you are not thinking exactly the same thing as they do. And that is what liberalism is about nowadays. And I think that destroys the ideal of liberalism already, because liberalism would also be about respecting the other one's views, and that's what we don't experience anymore. On the other hand, on the conservative side, we see much more acceptance, much more tolerance, and much more openness towards the others. And that's what I think makes the conservative Christian democratic side or political wing so much different nowadays. And I think that that is something that we all seek and we all need so much. We need to speak a language that is understandable, that is open, that is straightforward, that is easy to follow for the ordinary people as well. Now in Europe, the so-called Christian democratic conservative parties, even I can name it in the European Parliament, and I greet everybody from the European Parliament, from our political group as well. Nice to see you all, guys. But you can also admit how much the European People's Party, which was about to be a Christian democratic conservative right-wing political family, now shifted to the left and gave up its traditional Christian democratic right-wing conservative values. And that is why we thought, and now I'm speaking as the vice president of our party, then we thought that we should initiate something new. And that's why our prime minister met with Prime Minister Morawiecki and also the party leader of Lega, Matteo Salvini, here in Budapest, and they announced that we will start something new together, and we will try to reshuffle the European conservative Christian democratic side, saying that it can be the renaissance, the newborn of Christian democracy in Europe. To finish, we just set ourselves very simple principles. We said that this Christian democracy should concentrate on some, let's say, some common values. And we said that we will say yes to, we will say yes to family. We will say yes to Christianity. We will say yes to human dignity, and we will say yes to nations or the national identity. But on the other hand, we will say no to totalitarianism, to communism, to this Union of United States of Europe, to anti-Semitism, to mass illegal migration instead of supporting families, and also censorship. And that's where I finish, because I think that Political Network for Values also gives us the chance to speak free, to speak without any censorship. And I should tell you that I have very bad experience in that sense, that censorship is, it's not only about not letting you say what you think. Censorship is also about differentiating upon the content or the political drive of anything being said. And I very often experience that, for example, journalists from all over the world are coming to meet me to Budapest, and we have an interview. I give them an interview, an hour long, for example. We are speaking with each other. They are very critical. They raise all the questions they want. I answer them all, and then they go back home and they don't announce that they don't make anything public out of these discussions or out of these interviews, because it just doesn't fit into the picture they want to show about Hungary. And that is, upon my understanding, that is also some kind of censorship, that only those messages are let through which fit into the frame and which fit into this left liberal understanding of the world. And I think we should not let this happen. And this great opportunity of having the conference on the future of Europe and having Political Network for Values already on the first day of after launching this conference on the future of Europe, having you all here and giving us the chance to discuss freely what we think about the future of Europe, what we think about the future of Christian democracy in Europe. It gives us the chance to speak without censorship, to speak free, and to pronounce our visions about Europe. And there I am always happy to share the Hungarian example, where we already see the results, not only the objectives of our family-oriented, Christian democratic, conservative policies, which we have been lucky enough to drive from a governmental position in the last now 11 years in Hungary. And we hope that at the next elections next year, we will have the support again of the Hungarian people to further carry on this kind of family-oriented, Christian democratic, conservative policies that we started 11 years ago. Thank you so much. These were my introductory words, and if you have any questions, I am here to answer them. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Katalin. It's wonderful.
Thank you, KATALIN. Thank you, Mr. Novak. Sorry, I was muted there. I'll be very brief. I think one key component of the future of true Christian democratic values in Europe is political courage. And both you and Minister Fontana have embodied political courage. Part of the failure of the so-called Christian Democrats who have ceded ground continually, not just recently, but over the last 20 or 30 years, has been to just capitulate when things get too hot, to give up on the issues that they think that are not in the best interest for the established powers. But I think what you have shown, and I think what Minister Fontana has shown, that staying to true values and staying strong is both politically and also morally in the best interest of your country. When you talk about censorship, I know that so many lies were said about Hungary, about you, about Prime Minister Orban, leading up to the World Congress of Families. In the same way, for Minister Fontana, Verona, it was so explosive. It was on the cover of all of the newspapers that somehow we were hate mongers, when all we were trying to do was to stand up for dignity. But instead of relenting and capitulating, you stood strong. And I think that that is key, that standing with the values we all know are true regardless of what occurs. And I think that that also is true in what has occurred with EPP and the formation of a new political bloc. So thank you. Lola, I'm going to hand it over to you to begin the questions and answers. And I know we have Dr. Angela Garda on the line from the Secretariat on the Family from Brazil, but I'm going to hand it over to you to take care and to help lead this part of the discussion.
Yes, let me briefly mention those that have joined the colloquium. I don't know if all of you will be able to take the floor, but we thank you for joining. As Brian already mentioned, Angela Granda, and we will give you the floor right away. Secretary for the Family from Brazil, from the Brazil government. Then we have some members of the European Parliament from Hungary. We have Kinga Gál here, and Edina Tot and Balázs Hídbényi as well. And also KATALIN Tot, Hungarian ambassador in Spain. We thank you very much for joining. We have María del Rosario Guerra, a member of Senate from Colombia and vice chair of our network. And Aguminas Petroni, a member of parliament from Lithuania. Balázs Hídbényi, member of parliament from Hungary. Egidius Vareikis, he's a diplomat from the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Lithuania. Georgina Trias, she's a member of parliament from Spain. Javier Puente, member of Senate from Spain, Jan Figel, former EU Special Envoy for Religious Freedom from Slovakia, Luis Peral, former member of Senate from Spain, Javier Jantus, he's secretary of the municipality in Yerba Buena in Argentina, Rodrigo Goñi, member of parliament from Uruguay, Lorin Naxa, member of parliament from Hungary, Mariano Gerván, pro-secretary of the Senate in Argentina, Alois Peterle, former member of parliament from Slovenia, Jorge Piñeiro, he's at the municipality of Fortaleza in Brazil, Bernardo Bartolomeo, member of parliament from Brazil, Paola Holguín, member of Senate from Colombia, Marcio Luis Chila, procurador from Brazil, and let me see if I miss anybody. I apologize if I do, but Isabel María Salazar from Ecuador, Justicia y Paz, Justice and Peace, and I know Valerie Huber has also joined. She's a former member of the U.S. administration, the Health Ministry, and one of the main promoters of the Geneva Consensus Declaration. And well, so let's start the colloquium with Angela Granda, and please raise your hands. We have 40 more minutes, and then we will need to finish. Anyway, if not all of you have time, please feel free to do your comments on the chat, and we can publish them later on the press release if you wish. Okay, so Angela.
Okay. Well, thank you for the event, Lola. I want to greet also KATALIN, Valerie, Brian, everyone here from my country to know such a good moment to share our concerns. No, and I can tell you that we are trying to bring up the, what means Christian values, like as human values. We have to think that Christian values come after human values. Christian values, I think Christianity only stressed what is proper and due to the human being. So sometimes I say, people say, we are conservatives. I say, no, I'm only human. Hannah Arendt used to say, simply human. No, and we have to show that we don't want to impose something, oppose something that is like a moral, religious vision, because Christian values are, first of all, human values. No, so I think it's we're trying in our nation to build a dialogue, no, to ask, to listen, to expose what we think, to show the history, no, and scientifically what meant Christianity to our development, or against slavery, protecting life, protecting women in a positive way. No, and I think this is a challenge to build a dialogue, and also I think like human beings are not neutral. In general, they are not neutral. So we have to show that it's an existential social lie when we take out values and decide economically, because it's a value too anyways. No, so which values are at the stake? Are they voted? No, so I think this is something we can bring to the social dialogue through social media, for example. We act a lot in social media, showing the good, showing the beauty, showing the truth, showing what human beings are looking for, really. No, and I think like the pandemics, it provoked a more human dialogue at home, because people were there together at home, in the society, because it had to take us from our individualism to the solidarity, no, and also in the governments, between the states. So we are trying to act as humans, because we have to face that, we have to face suffering. And so I think it's a very good moment to bring these deep human values we share as human nature. And I think we have the truth. No, it's not because of us or saying, no, because it's the truth. No? What we follow is the truth, right? And also the experience of Christian values as human values, and even in different ways, in different religions. So this truth speaks for us, right? It speaks for us in a way. And I guess we have only to persevere, to come, to bring rational reasons, public reasons, departing for human values. No, for Christian values, there are all human, of course, no? And also, I think this way, this path has to be accomplished with love and understanding. I guess we can talk from the top to the bottom. We can't talk violently. We have to understand, to wait, to be humble, but to provoke this dialogue, no, and with as much love as we can, because our source is love too, right? It's only that I wanted to say. Thank you. Could you listen to me? Could you listen to me? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay then. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you.
Okay, so we have, bueno, puedo hablar en español, disculpen, porque tenemos los canales de traducción. Entonces, quiero mencionar también a Héctor Yepes, diputado de Ecuador, que me parece que no lo he mencionado antes, Rodrigo Goñi, diputado de Uruguay, no sé si lo mencioné, y tenemos ha pedido la palabra, a ver, Kinga Gal, eurodiputada, y luego Bernardo Bartolomeo. Y tenemos alguna palabra más. Entonces, Kinga Gal, please.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. I'm just greeting everybody. It's fantastic that we could make so many of us this afternoon or morning, wherever you are in the world. I think it's an excellent occasion to exchange views, to feel together with friends. I'm greeting many of you whom I know, and I'm just looking at Mr. Fiegel. I'm so happy that you are also present, and all the others whom I know for a long time now. So it's very timely, because here in the European Union, we face now today the whole challenge what the Future of Europe conference and debate will bring to the European Union. And I think it is very symbolic that in this moment where the platform on exchanging views started, the same day we have this opportunity to express our views on how we see the main challenges for the future of Europe. And what I would like to say is that wherever we live, whether it's EU, elsewhere in Europe, or anywhere else in the world, the basic issue what we have to address, it is how our children, the next generations, will get the sense of what is right and what is wrong. Because as for us, our generation, or the parents of the generation of our parents, they, even if they had very difficult times because of history, it was quite easy to find what is right and what is wrong, because there were basic values which followed the whole community. And this is what has been changed and is changing now from day to day, that the basic values, the basic good is questioned, is relativized. And we found ourselves in a position where we have to find the counterbalance and find the way how to explain to the generation of our children and the next generation that what is right, where are those values, that it is worth to fight for these values. I think this is our responsibility, our duty, and I think that among each other we can understand that this is also a lot of tasks to do. That's what already has been said at the beginning, and KATALIN expressed it, that we have to reinforce the belief that everything what comes with our Judeo-Christian roots, with the cultural heritage, with the traditions in our nations and community is good, and that their children should cherish it and do not believe in this relative approach to these values and to the constant questioning of everything what is right and wrong and what is good and acceptable. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have also, I don't know if he just joined because he was in the other list, Ignacio Garriga, Member of Parliament from Spain, who asked me to give him the floor earlier because he had to leave. Is Ignacio ready?
¿Se me oye?
Sí.
Se me oye bien, fenomenal. Bueno, en primer lugar, gracias por la invitación. La verdad que es un honor estar con grandísimos ponentes del nivel del que he podido escuchar con anterioridad a esta intervención mía. Y en mi breve intervención sí que es verdad que yo quisiera empezar afirmando, efectivamente, que los valores en la Unión Europea cristianos están en grave amenaza. Están en grave amenaza en una Unión Europea donde estamos sufriendo desde hace siglos y especialmente en el tiempo en el que tenemos que vivir una embestida clara para llevar a cabo una deconstrucción de los pilares de nuestra civilización occidental. Sin lugar a dudas, esa voluntad de deconstruir nuestra civilización occidental está perfectamente diseñada y perfectamente teledirigida por un programa de ingeniería social para, poco a poco, ir dinamitando los pilares que nos han traído hasta aquí. ¿Quiénes son esos principales protagonistas? ¿Quiénes son esos actores que están llevando a cabo esa permanente erosión de los valores fundamentales de los Estados-nación, de las naciones soberanas que conforman la Unión Europea? Pues bien, como bien
the forces who are undermining these intents, we have to go back to the 18th century, to the French Revolution, and to the heritage Voltaire, Rousseau, who has professed ideologies that define the ideology and energy of so many politicians in our days. Different trends like positivism, nihilism, before the sexual revolution, gender identity, I mean, a series of forces that are facing, that are directing an attack to our conservative values. I insist we have to tell everybody who we are and what we are. We profess three basic pillars. In first place, our heritage of democracy, the Roman heritage, and the most important heritage is Christianism. It is clear that this attack is against our main value, which is Christianism. And the worst thing in this is that we have clear enemies we can identify that are trying to identify an attack or direct an attack to undermine our basic values. Our enemies are set up in three groups: globalism and communism on the one hand, and in second hand, the mass media, which are possessed by globalism and social communism, and in third place, I would mention the cowardness, the political cowardness that denies Christian values. For this reason, we insist in fighting in our faith, in our traditions, in our Christian heritage. For this reason, I would like to extend an invitation to everybody taking part in this debate to join forces for the family, to protect the family, which is the fundamental cell of the society, made up by a man and a woman, and to fight against the gender ideology, which undermines the basic pillar of our society. And in this sense, the sovereign states in Europe will not exist as long as we are not brave enough to face these attacks, to convey our values to the next generations. Thank you for your intervention, Ignacio.
Consigo ir un poco por orden. Bernardo Bartolomeo,
I will give the floor to Bernardo Bartolomeo, who will speak in Portuguese.
Muito obrigado, Lola.
Thank you very much, Lola. Thank you very much, dear friends, for this invitation, for this event, and thank you for this event. I would like to speak about speaking about values like work, family, tradition. These are values that make all our work so important. And this also shows the importance of conservative thinking, because it seems very clear that the foundation stone of our society is indeed this. And we can't change this for any kind of beautiful discourse. We need to understand who and what is on the other side, what rhetoric is the other side defending, what are we facing, because the other side is transforming their story into a very beautiful one, enchanting any listener's ears. But indeed, it is a false image. So I would like to talk about about how to fight against these questions, especially the lack of coherence and the myths that the other side is representing. We need to understand that the others are also from the same nation. They are our brothers and sisters, our brethren, but who have been misled, basically. And their lack of coherence shows this. Very often in Brazil, we see that people defend a gender ideology for a child of 3 or 4. And we also see that unisex restrooms are being installed, whereas wagons are already separate for women and men. So we need to show with kind of diplomatic words that indeed the other side is representing a lack of coherence. I would like to give you one more a very important hug and thank you for all this event. Thank you for the attention.
Muchas
Era um
gracias.
Obrigado.
Sí, Isabel María Salazar quería hacer una pregunta a los ponentes.
Bueno, muchas gracias, como siempre, todas
Thank
las
you
intervenciones y todas las propuestas.
for all the interventions and the proposals. A question to KATALIN Novák. I have seen your successful program. I have seen that right-wing governments are normally successful governments. You have been 11 years in power. My question is how difficult is to participate, to take part in policy, and to maintain. What is the factor? What is the issue that that keep you in your role? Not only because we have to remember that Christian values, conservative values, are not only ideological values, but also the components of a government.
KATALIN.
I'm here. Sorry, Lola. I'm sorry. The question, if I don't know if I heard it well, but the question was that after 11 years of government, what is our drive? If I put it so simple, is that right?
Okay, so
Brian, I think that the question is what factor has allowed Fidesz to continue to maintain power? What has allowed, we've seen many more conservative governments come and go, but you have stayed. And why?
yeah, what is the protection you have? Because we see that, for example, with Mr. Trump, he was showing all these proposals, but it's not easy because it's very, very aggressive, the world. So what is the protection? What is that has allowed you, your personal testimony, your experience?
So first of all, I very much hope that in, I don't know, like 15 months, you can again raise this question and ask us what was the reason behind our fourth consecutive two-third majority victory at the election. So I very much hope that it will remain so next year as well. But to make it more serious, it's because we govern with the people. It's for us, it's true that with the people, by the people, it is because we, from time to time, for example, hold national consultations, we call them. It's not a referendum, but it's a national consultation. So we ask the people if they support certain issues, for example, family policy. And if, for example, we linked family support to work, but we also ask the people, do you agree that we link family support to work? And they, like over 90% agree with that. So from time to time, we ask them. And also, I think that we are very straightforward, and we are very outspoken. And many times there is this critique that for example, our prime minister or our party is populist. And it is always a question, what is populism? For me, it's not populism in a bad sense if you promise something and you keep it, because that's what we are doing. We say that, for example, we will create in Hungary 1 million workplaces, and then we do it. Or we say that we will increase the family benefits, and then we do it. This year, we spend, let's say, or I would rather use the word invest over 5% of our GDP for family support. So it's 2.5 as much as we had 10 years ago. And I think one more important element is that we have, and that this is, I'm speaking about family policies in the first place, also because I've been doing this for over 7 years right now. That's the 8th year, and what I think what makes us popular or successful is that we have a successful economic policy and a family policy in the same time. So it means that even if we spend a lot of money for family support, our economic figures are quite good, and people feel that they are living better off. And we always admit that we are not perfect. We always say, and that's the last thing maybe what I should say, that I am sometimes in critical Hungarian media. I am also asked that, okay, then do you feel that you are now done and you have accomplished everything what you wanted? And I say that no, we definitely need at least one more term. So we always need more time in order to be able to carry on this kind of policies that we started. We were in government, in opposition totally. Since the 1990, we spent 12 years in opposition, and it's only the 11th year of our governance. So we are not even either, but we want to be. I mean, not want to be, but I think it would be useful for the country if we had the chance to carry this on for a long time, because that is also that relates to your very, very founded question that. Being able to carry on long-lasting policies, that is a great chance. So we are privileged, or we are really given the chance to really do change in Hungary. And this change cannot be done in 4 years. And if you have a perspective of one term, if you have a short-term perspective as a politician, as many do, then you don't even have any chance to reach anything. So we have long-term perspectives, we have long-term visions, and we are given by the Hungarian people the chance to try to fulfill these long-term visions. And we really do give visions, and that's what we are trying to do in Europe as well. For example, at the conference on the future of Europe, to show that we have a long-term vision about Europe, and that when we speak about migration, when we speak about demography, when we speak about the fact that there is not a single member state in the European Union where enough children are born, then we see that if we think in the long run, then we should do something against this, and we should really take our future into our hands. So maybe that's our governmental drive, and personally we are enthusiastic, and we are like that. We love to do what we are doing.
Muchas gracias, KATALIN. Voy a dar la palabra a Egidius Vareikis de Lituania. Y luego tenemos 3 palabras más. Y ya
I'm giving the floor to Egidius Vareikis from Lithuania.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. My question is related to European Parliament and generally speaking with European political families. We had a presentation about European Parliament, but no proposals what to do. And when I have many contacts, many conversations with different members of European Parliament from different countries, because myself I'm the diplomat, and what people are saying. Sometimes they're saying, okay, we are pro-family, we are sharing your values, but what to do? The family problems are still not enough high on the agenda to create, for example, a new political family. People are saying, we're representing our national parties. My party, let's say from Baltic States, they're generally pro-family, but they're saying, we will not leave our political group in the European Parliament because it's the minor issue. We have economy, we have, we have globalization, we have geopolitics. This is a family. So stay quiet, have your views, but don't change anything. And so generally, the family values are still not the problem number one in the European Parliament. And this is the problem, what to do, how to unite people from different countries and different political groups. There are many pro-family people, not only in EPP, but in different groups, because they will not create at least now, the new political family. So this is one. Another thing is what very often what I hear today, for example, I hear the thing, but we are alternative for something. Don't use that term. We are not alternative. We are the main idea. Family is the main idea. Alternative is the non-family. So we are not losers. We are winners. This is for our, let's say, maybe propaganda or promotion. So, but really, the people who know the European Parliament, how to consolidate our ideas, how to make it really the issue what unites people. So this is a question for maybe not only for members of European Parliament, but for everybody who are related with that. So thank you.
Muchas gracias. Sí, no sé si quieren comentar algo,
I'm not
KATALIN.
sure you would like to comment on this, KATALIN, or other persons.
Sí, gracias, Lola. So thank you. Yes, I will be very short there. Yes, that's all. I will just tell you this. We are a small country of 10 million people. We are so we know that we are not a global player. But if we don't have our voices heard, then there is no chance that there will be any change. So I think that sometimes even the small ones, sometimes even with a smaller power, you can achieve something, and you can really show. And there I will put a very, very actual issue on the table: the COVID and the vaccines. You know how it was a different approach of Hungary, for example, vis-a-vis the other European countries, saying that we also have alternative sources of vaccination, and we use different vaccines as well, the Russian and the Chinese one as well. And we could already vaccine more than 3 million Hungarian people, double the EU average. And it shows that even a small country can be successful or can show a good example to the others. And that's what I think we should all, that's what we should keep in mind, that it's not about the size, that it's not only about the volume, because the left liberals are very loud, but I think they don't have such a big crowd behind as we do. Even if our supporters are shyer, our supporters are more silent, but we should make them believe, and that's my last sentence, that many times you have the feeling that the outcome of the elections is already decided by the public opinion polls. Once they are published, they say that will be the outcome of the elections, and nobody feels the chance to influence the outcome of the elections. And you shouldn't make people believe that in a democracy they don't have a chance to change everything. So I think that's what you should make the people believe, that even a small voice is worth to be heard.
Muchas gracias, KATALIN. Muy breves intervenciones.
Thank you, KATALIN. Short interventions for Balázs Hidvégi, Hungarian deputy for the European Parliament. And after that, Argentinian participant, and after that we finish. Balázs, please.
Thank you very much for the floor. Thank you. Let me just say that we're talking about values here and also what to do. Many of the interventions focused on what we could do about better influence and more popular support. I think one thing that we must clarify also in our minds and in our public appearances of discourse is that the progressive agenda has gone into an extreme by today. And although they like to identify themselves as liberals and champions of tolerance, in reality, they have become enemies of freedom by today. And this must be said very clearly. They have become intolerant and unaccepting of any other view than theirs. KATALIN, I think, was the one, KATALIN NOVÁK, who in her first intervention brought up this example of when they asked a conservative and a progressive about what they would do if it turned out that their best friend thought differently from them. Then a conservative said, well, no problem. I mean, we still would be friends. And it's a sign of tolerance. Whereas a progressive would say, well, then I would cut all relationship with the person. And that exactly describes the situation today. So there is an ideological dictatorship in front of us right now. And we see that in the European Parliament very clearly, but we see also in the global scene. One of you, or many of you, I think, have mentioned the media also, how the media has become an abuser very often of truth, how it is biased, how it's spreading fake news. We have just learned just a few days ago this extraordinary story about CNN International, where one of its managers, one of its leaders, just saying one sentence after the other, how they are basically nothing more than a propaganda channel. So there are questions of morality, of values, and we've talked about family here. And the idea of family, the idea of traditional marriage, this is under attack. Now, I think one thing that we have to make sure and clarify for ourselves in the right here is that we have to be proactive. It's not enough to be on the defensive. It's not enough to complain about things. We have to organize ourselves. And in fact, we have to use some of the tactics, whether we like it or not, of our opponents. They are very proactive. They are using all kinds of channels to support their aims and their agenda. But we have to do the same, because if we don't do it, we are losing ground. We are stepping backward and then backward again and then backward again. And clear moral questions become a topic of debate, whereas they should be they should be stable and the foundation of a lot of things that we believe in. So proactivity, action, and organization is very important. For instance, we need to be thinking about think tanks. The progressives use very much various organizations, NGOs, networks. They communicate, they go into the press, they go into the publicity. We have to do the same. This is not natural very often to a conservative mind to do these kind of things, but I think we have to do it because in this age of media, in this age of the internet, we have to also make our voices heard and say very clearly and very stubbornly what we believe in. I believe that we talk about a lot of people who think similarly to us and who are looking for a political force, a political network that stands up for those common sense values which are now questioned. So that is what I would say: build our own media, build networks using the internet, create think tanks, have conferences, have meetings, make them public, talk about these things so that people sort of will feel again that they can talk about normal things. It's okay to say that something is normal and something is not normal. Something is common sense and mainstream, and some others are not. we should not be afraid to say these things. The other side is not afraid. They are intolerant and very aggressive. So we need to, wake up and organize ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is a excellent recommendation for us to end on. We're trying to finish on time. We will allow people to continue. I just want to say that from my perspective, the future is very bright. I especially thank Hungary. Coming from the United States, we've had some ups and downs politically, but what we've seen in Hungary, many of us look to Hungary and its family policy especially as a guiding light. And so I think that the examples, again, of courage, you, Lorenzo Fontana, stepping up, speaking. I think that the question about censorship is also a question about self-censorship. The other side often looks like it's unbeatable. All of the forces of the establishment seem arrayed against us. But then all of a sudden, the unthinkable happens. People win that should never have won. Parties gain power that should never have gained power. I think there is a certain fragility in the progressive liberal order around the world right now. And that what is emerging is a new form of conservatism that agrees on certain major values, especially the family, but also allows for disagreement on cultural variations, different ways that people want to live. We are now the true bearers of freedom. We are now the ones who truly respect identity. And I think that's key, especially in Europe, and Europe must lead the way. So that would be my final comment. Let us not fear. Let us be courageous. Let us stand together. Let us use the examples that we have before us of success. And even when we're down, we continue to fight. We continue to stand for what's true, and we continue to be practical. I'll also now invite Minister Fontana, Lorenzo Fontana, to make some final comments, and then KATALIN NOVÁK, and then we'll keep going for anyone who wants to stay. We'll continue to go on. Mr. Fontana.
Thank you so much, Brian. I think that we can put some important point, because I totally agree with the last, I think, parliamentary from Hungary, who speak about some new think tank, about some new foundation, about a new alliance for all the people in every part of the world who want to put some Christian values on the base of the new politics. Because, we have to study very well the agenda of the globalism, the agenda who try to homologate every people, and who want, because we have to understand that is an ideology. I think it's not so different from the ideology of the last century, from the communism or the Nazism. I think that at the end they want to create a new man, but totally unnaturally. And so I'm afraid, because this is really dangerous, not only for us, but in particular for our sons, for our children. And so it's for this that we have to try to study what they want, what they really want. Now you know that a lot of them speak about the Great Reset, and I think is a new way for the usually ideological policy. And we have to study with some foundation, with some think tanks, and then we have to make and to create our agenda. And we have to have this strong new alliance to help each other in the countries, because you can see in the European Parliament the problem for EPP now was Orban, not the alliance with the socialists, not the fact that in the European Parliament go only the globalist agenda. The problem is Orban. And if I read the newspaper in Italy, Orban is like a dictator, is like or Kaczynski in Poland, or Bolsonaro in Brazil, or Trump when he was the president. The media in Italy, but I think is the same in the other country, speak about this important politician who takes a lot of vote, like if they are dangerous for the world. In reality, I can see that we have in front of us a new ideology, like the ideologies from the last century, and that they want to take the power from the world, over all the world. And so it's for this that we have to study, we have to have a strong alliance each other's, we have to help each other's in the various countries, and to put our agenda. It's not it's a big war. It's a big work. We have to do a lot. We have to stay in touch, to have a lot of exchange of view. But I think is the only way to defend our value, our tradition, to defend the right life for the people. Because at the end, I think that. Like we said before, the Christian's values are the human values, and so is the better way to live. And so I think that we have to do this battle not for us in principle, but for our sons, for the future of the world. I think that is the good way that we have to take. To try to create a beautiful future for the people, for the country of the world. Thank you so much. And thank you, Brian, KATALIN, and the organizer for this beautiful meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Gracias, Lorenzo. Tenemos que... Bueno, tal vez KATALIN quiere una palabra final para terminar. Y luego...
Thank you so much, Lola. Thank you. So to finish, I will join Lorenzo and say that some of you might know, some others might not, what is the political landscape right now in Hungary. You should know that our opposition is totally united, which means that now the ex or post-communists, the socialists, the Greens are allied with the anti-Semite far-right Jobbik party. So that means that they have common candidates, they have a common list for next year's elections. And there I come back to Lorenzo's point that, I mean, the problem with us is our prime minister. But not the problem is not that there is in the opposition an openly anti-Semite far-right party which is allied with everybody else, and nobody has a say on that. Nobody accuses it. No reaction from the EPP, no reaction from the left, no reaction from the Greens, nowhere. Nobody has any reaction on that. On the other hand, they are trying to criticize us all the time. So it is something which just at least raises some serious concerns about the real drive and the real intentions of those who are condemning us. So that is one part of my conclusive words. And the last is that I am by nature optimistic. And when I look at you all, and I know from some of you, I just look at Kinga, or I just look at Brian, or just some of you who I know and know that you are raising 4, 5, 6, 8 children, or ourselves also 3 children, then I say that there could be many who deny the importance of having children, of having a family, of procreation. Well, our children will be there. There won't. And I think that's the point. I mean, the future will be decided by the children who are born. And that's why I think that everybody has the right to do however they want to. but I think the most valuable decisions of our lives were to give birth to our children, and I think that is our major action, and that is our major answer to all these concerns learned. So I think that in the long run, we have the future, and I see that ocho hijos por aquí. So I see that there are among us those who are living in large families, and I think that our children experience on a daily basis in our families what it means to really live for these conservative Christian democratic values. And when I say this, I must excuse myself because it is 6 o'clock here in the afternoon in Hungary, and if I want to, in the practice also do what I'm speaking about, then I maybe I have to say hello to our children who miss me already, and vice versa. So thank you so much for the organization. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, Zsófi. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you all. Really, it was a privilege to spend some time with you, and very, very much looking forward to meeting you soon again. And I think that is our conference on the future of Europe. Thank you. Gracias, Lola.
Gracias, Katalin. Gracias, Lorenzo. Gracias, Brian. Oficialmente, bueno, para los que tengan que terminar, para tratar de terminar a tiempo, pueden terminar ya. Vamos a prolongar 10 minutos.
People that want to finish this can finish. We will extend this debate for 10 minutes without translation. Your interventions will be recorded, and you can check them. And after 10 minutes, we will finalize this debate.
Buenos días,
Estás silenciado, Mariano. Tienes que quitar tu micrófono, por favor.
Sí, lo tenía activo, Lola. Su internet está inestable.
Ahora
está bien.
Ahora sí, creo. Bueno, felicitaciones, Lola, Lorenzo, Brian y KATALIN por este coloquio muy interesante. Bueno, mirando la foto en la que se promueve este diálogo, este coloquio, dando al Alcide de Gasperi, a Konrad Adenauer y Robert Schuman, en realidad se me vinieron a la cabeza 2 o 3 cuestiones. La primera era que los 3 eran profundos conocedores de la doctrina social de la Iglesia, que me parece que es una de las claves en la evolución de la formulación política del movimiento social cristiano en Europa y en el resto del mundo. En segundo lugar, yo simplemente quería recomendar dos trabajos que me parece que conservan plena actualidad, que son el programa básico de la Unión Cristiano-Democrática de Alemania. Esto en algún momento lo imprimió la Fundación Konrad Adenauer, y el programa de política económica también de la Unión Demócrata Cristiano-Alemana. Son 2 documentos que, aunque tienen muchos años, conservan plena actualidad, tanto desde lo valórico como desde lo conceptual. Y los traigo a cuento porque en materia de lo que estamos hablando, cuando hablamos de valores cristianos no se trata de hacer ni filosofía ni teología. Hay que trabajar sobre la proyección política de los valores cristianos y desde mi punto de vista, habiendo visto producciones de todo tipo y color, me parece que estos 2 documentos son los más logrados en décadas. Conservan plena actualidad, reafirman los valores esenciales sobre los que nosotros estamos reflexionando: la familia, la organización del Estado, la organización de la economía, el libre mercado, pero obviamente con una impronta social cristiana, es decir, con una visión que es diferenciadora tanto de las nuevas visiones neomarxistas que sucedieron al marxismo clásico, tanto como las individualistas, ¿no? Entonces, simplemente hacer esta pequeña reflexión y este aporte al diálogo. Estos dos documentos me parece que son sumamente interesantes para actualizarlos y proyectarlos hacia el futuro. Gracias, Loren.
Muchas gracias, Mariano. Pues terminamos con la intervención que había solicitado también Rodrigo Iván Cortés desde México, que como saben es el secretario general de la red y vicepresidente del board de nuestra red.
Muchísimas gracias, Lola. Y creo que ha sido un extraordinario foro, un extraordinario diálogo. Creo que Lorenzo Fontana ha descrito de manera puntual el momento que vive Europa. Si en este momento le hiciéramos la pregunta en latín del quo vadis Europa, nos daríamos cuenta de que parece ser como un Barrabás que ha sido salvado por el Nazareno, pero no se da cuenta cabal de lo que ha pasado y está a punto de perder justo esa salvación. Me parece que el riesgo que corre Europa es enorme, mayúsculo. Ese pretender crear un hombre nuevo en un orden nuevo tiene el problema de que se quiere hacer con un nuevo totalitarismo. Europa ha logrado renacer ante los intentos de destruirla desde los totalitarismos del nacionalsocialismo y del socialismo soviético. Y precisamente para que Europa pueda tener hoy fuerza de futuro, tiene que recuperar sus raíces, retomar su identidad para poder tener rumbo otra vez y vencer de nueva cuenta los intentos totalitarios que amenazan con destruirlo. La herencia de la que hablaba el diputado de Vox, Ignacio Garriga, es la herencia greco-romana, judeo-cristiana. Y precisamente en lo que ha sido ese remontar la adversidad por parte de Alcide Gasperi, Robert Schuman o Konrad Adenauer ante la embestida del nacionalsocialismo, tiene la misma raigambre de lo que hizo un Lech Walesa en Polonia o un Václav Havel en la entonces Checoslovaquia. Es esa herencia de la civilización occidental que puede resumirse también en latín, in hoc signo vinces. Con este signo se vencerá. Y ese signo es un signo impresionante, que es el signo de la cruz. Una cruz que representa esa herencia judeo-cristiana que retoma lo mejor de lo greco-latino y que se ha encarnado a través de proyectos que se convierten en políticas, que se convierten en leyes, que se convierten en resoluciones que ayudan a reconstruir Europa. Y ahí recordemos que el eje vertical es el reconocimiento y elevación de la dignidad del ser humano para compartir un horizonte de trascendencia. Pero esto solo se puede lograr de la mano del horizonte, del eje de lo horizontal, es decir, del cómo hacer esto una cuestión tan concreta como la comunidad del carbón y del acero, que precisamente compartiendo solidariamente los elementos más materiales que podían reconstruir Europa, se logró hacer una comunidad con un eje vertical y un eje horizontal. Al escuchar a KATALIN NOVÁK, al saber lo que ha hecho ese país, Hungría, a través de políticas públicas que logran que la célula básica de la sociedad, que es la familia, se fortalezca en diversos rubros y hacer que ese país tenga otra vez fuerza de futuro, nos da la pauta para que, como políticos de valores, queramos convertir esos valores en acciones, en agendas. Y como también decía otro parlamentario húngaro, hacer que esto sea tan proactivo, tan certero, que logremos que se neutralice esa amenaza y, como decía Brian Brown, pues a pesar de todas las dificultades, de todos los obstáculos, seguir luchando hasta que vuelva a prevalecer ese eje vertical de la dignidad humana y ese eje horizontal de convertir ese ideal en algo tan concreto como políticas públicas y leyes que en verdad reconozcan a la persona en su dignidad y materialmente eleven su calidad de vida. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Rodrigo, por esta magnífica intervención final. Y ya que se oía por ahí la voz de fondo, pero aprovecho para agradecer también a los traductores por su labor y a todos los que se han mantenido un poquito más, que nos hemos pasado del tiempo. Ojalá pudiéramos continuar porque todos tendrían intervenciones interesantísimas que hacer. Pero bueno, estaremos atentos a nuestro próximo webinar del que estarán todos informados. Y la red sigue a vuestra disposición, a la disposición de todos vosotros. Nos contactáis en cualquier momento para vuestras iniciativas, el apoyo que podáis necesitar. Muchísimas gracias a todos y hasta la próxima.